This is the final recap for adventures not recorded, but which were played by our group and which we had fun with. My hope is these recaps have been short and fun to listen to, not a clinical and ultimately boring regurgitation of rules and facts, which normally should have no bearing on our role-playing experience when the stories about them are told. Without further ado, let's talk about popes in space. In the final part of tonight's recap presentation, we travel to Cyber France to rescue a not-so-damsel in distress, but rather a French-German spy attempting to sabotage Cyberpope Malraux's operations with the goal of getting into space and getting the Godnet to install all over the Earth, so he might claim the coveted title of Torg. Alright. This is a converted adventure from Infiniverse Volume 1, Issue 1 to Torg Eternity Statistics. Operatives in La Resistance within Pope Jean Malraux's cyber papacy confirm major construction projects about 50 kilometers northwest of Avignon. This is apparently some manner of space launch site. Whether for missiles or exploration is unknown at this time. The French government built much of this before the war, but ran into budgetary constraints and could not continue construction. The Cyber Pope has taken over and, given the technology available in the Cyber Papacy, completing the base could prove devastating to core Earth and, perhaps, a boon to the other High Lords. We can't have that. Our operative, known as Agent Memo, reported she had a great deal of information for the Delphi Council and sought extraction. At last report, she had gone to ground until we can provide that extraction. Since that time, just 30 some odd hours ago, other operatives have found out the name of the project head, one Dr. Etienne Balzac. I know that sounds not good, but it is what it is. Nothing on the entirety of the site, not one building, shows indications of being connected to the Godnet yet. Prevailing theory is the Cyberpope has ordered it to remain off the net so it cannot be hacked. As well, the area for several kilometers around is being searched by the Inquisition. They are brutalizing their own people and tearing the area apart looking for our agent, sometimes murdering their own residents and workers as examples of what happens when cooperation is not given in search of her. Agent Memo must have a great deal more information to provide, making her the most important asset in the world to the Delphi Council at this moment in time. The job is to find Agent Memo as covertly and quickly as possible. Assume she is alive, but be prepared to search out the task she was intent to complete and complete it yourselves. Take it step by step. As you find information, you will decide how to proceed. Go with caution and discretion. Now, that was the mission briefing that you all received while on the aircraft carrier. Let's see. Had you visited twice, that you had already visited twice before, but very soon found yourselves en route to Ramstein Air Base in Germany. What was taking place during that flight?
No more shenanigans on that flight. Again, some of our compatriots not traveling very well, but I became pretty frantic about my character Peaches. Became frantic about Chris because he seemed to be running a fever, fell asleep. Like we all kind of bunked down to catch some sleep for the international flight, but
Mm-hmm.
Chris was unrousable. He was
Right.
unconscious. He slipped into some deep kind of sleep
Slumber.
or coma or what have you, where he could not be roused. And in my limited French, I was trying to ask for an emergency, I suppose, transpo for him.
Hospital or whatever. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I went to sleep on the plane. It was like, could not be roused, had a high fever. You went to get me some medical help.
Yeah. When you all landed in Ramstein at the Ramstein Air Base, eventually you all got out and got some help for Criss Cross, who was carrying a pretty nasty little fever, and he had passed out and like you said, could not be roused. But once you got him there, you had the medics check him out and throw him into an ice bath. And what else? What was Mo doing?
Some kind of healing spell in the backyard while everybody tried not to shoot him.
Yes, there was that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't actually a miracle that did miracle-y stuff, but it was a healing. Um, it was a healing ritual where I was like, actually, like, pacing out and causing a some sort of magic circle to appear in their lawn.
Uh-huh.
And the guy in charge of the base was like, sending Marines to like keep an eye on.
Make sure you didn't go and eat people.
Yeah.
Didn't eat the dog.
If I'm not
I
mistaken,
remember one of the soldiers was like, his job is to kill you. His job is to try.
Oh.
Uh,
yeah.
um, Mo simply was not impressed.
No. Now there were a couple of the group who are not here with us tonight, who were doing some strange things. Let's start out with Sakal.
Yeah, what was the call doing? He was doing
It
something.
was
He
something
was
to
with the plane
do.
guy.
Yeah, it was something to do with the Raptors. Oh,
Raptor.
yeah, the drones. That's right. You
Well,
remember?
he was fascinated by the
Oh yeah,
alien.
he was
Yeah,
trying
by
to
the,
get somebody to show him how to fly a drone. I was thinking of like dinosaur raptors. Yeah,
Oh.
but no, yeah, he was trying to get somebody to teach him to fly a drone. He was like really interested in like how does this fly? What?
hmm Hey, that was pretty
What?
good.
yeah, how can I seeing what it sees? Is this what it sees?
This is what it sees. How does
Yeah.
this fly?
hmm And he was
Yeah,
trying hard to
what
get in
does it?
there.
Yeah, what does it? How do you give it commands?
You know, me,
How can we hear you from so far away?
I'm in the yard chanting, and they're focusing like everybody on me. Meanwhile, Sakal's in the top secret, like Raptor control room, and
Uh-huh.
nobody's even noticed him.
Yeah, putting
Uh,
the joysticks in his mouth and giving it a taste.
Yeah,
it's
tasting
I don't
the joys.
I don't
And
I
then
don't think it
asking how can the droid hear you from here?
uh-huh. Oh yeah, that's right. Talking about how the drone communicates with them through the air. Uh I don't think they were so much worried about him being there as being intelligent enough to understand what they were trying to teach him. For his time and place, yeah, he was intelligent enough to do it. But for the future, not so much. um, and then what about Detective Pepper? I know he was there until you guys actually crossed the storm boundary into Cyber France, but I can't remember what he was doing, if anything.
I think he was just in the waiting room, keeping an eye on Chris. I don't think he. Or did he follow me?
Yeah, he was making sure no one
You know what?
shot you on accident.
I think it was a little bit of both, and I think it was Peaches that convinced him. He went in to see what was happening with Chris, and then Peaches asked him to go outside and keep an eye on Mo. Somebody came in and said something. It was like the major went out and saw what Mo was doing, and then came back in panicked, and he was like, "You need to send somebody out there to keep him from getting shot."
Yeah, and so uh, Detective Pepper was actually really good at de-escalating tensions.
Yes, very
And
good.
Yeah, he did a real good job of that. And Sikal was hilarious, tearing apart the drone labs despite just with childlike curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And my character was wearing a hole in the floor, pacing around Chris's bedside. She did have EMT training, so
Mm-hmm.
she was playing nurse assist, but nobody could figure out what was wrong with him.
Right, right. If I'm not mistaken, there was a hot coffee pot involved somewhere around there for Mo and Sakal, but I can't remember which one drank it.
It must have been Stakal.
It must have been Sakal.
I don't remember it at all. So
Because
I,
he might have gotten a taste of it on the aircraft carrier.
I think Wyatt was trying to have a lot of fun with with kind of examining his character in that particular moment.
yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
so
he
let's see.
did a great job of that. That was so hilarious.
Yeah.
Like it's a joystick. Yeah. Okay, it's a joystick. What's a joystick? And we're like, you figured out.
Yep. So let's see. Let's see. After all of those hijinks, unless you guys can remember anything else about what happened in the hangar or anything like that, I think you saw the storm wall start to light up or something like that. I can't remember exactly what I was doing, but there were aircraft coming in and everything like that, and they didn't. That's right. The major didn't have enough people to ferry you to France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to like basically get our own car.
Mm-hmm. And who was it that found it? Because
I
Chris.
did. I found the Amazon fan.
Yeah, the Fox LMTV that they had. In fact, I was
Yeah.
just getting to that. On being able to secure transportation in the form of a Fox LMTV with a hardback shell on it, you drove to the gate between Germany and invaded France. What happened at the checkpoint? There was quite a bit that was fun with that.
Oh, did we? Oh, we encountered the police
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
before we entered the thing.
You were.
We encountered the police before we entered, but it's like instead we invaded France. Sounds like we're Germany.
Yeah, exactly. But
We
I
kind
mean,
of did.
what?
But the police were there to try to get us to turn back for our safety.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, would you believe we're tourists? No.
Sakal or Mo came out of the back.
Oh my gosh, were we taking Chris's unconscious body in
Yes, we
France?
were.
Yep. And
Yes, we were.
the reason that you had to do it was for what reason? What piece of technology does Chris wear on his wrist?
Because
The
Chris had that
translator.
translator, and that translator kept going off in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And the cops nearly busted us for murder, for Chris's murder.
Well, no, what they did was they nearly busted a cap in us because one of them threw the back, and me and Sakal were both just sitting there with our eyes like just over the tailgate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like two great big alligators in the back of the truck.
Protecting Chris's body. That's right.
Protecting Chris's body.
So you can put me in a soup.
Mm-hmm. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Chris, once you guys hauled him out of the truck and put him into a wheelchair that they had, was it then that you woke up, Chris?
Yes, after I completed that trial you had me do in my mind.
Yes. Oh! I forgot what that was. Do you remember?
I just remember Chris kept having to make rolls and it wasn't succeeding.
I wasn't succeeding for a couple of rolls, but it was like you had a fire pool of water, and I forgot what you had for the telekinetic barrier, but I was pretty much the gist of it, where you had me to use telekinesis to move the water over the fire.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, that's
I
right.
remember the minute I did succeeded in my rolls, I had my character shoot up and scream, "I'm a waterbender!" That pool of water put out the fire.
That's awesome. I had forgotten about that. It's been, I mean, it's less time than the first 2 adventures, but oh, that was great.
That was great.
I think I awarded a possibility.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you did.
Our personalities just made that harder than it had to be.
But it was so much better turnout, you know, so much better.
We did not make it easy for us, but it's like it turned out good.
But why would I make it easy? Come on.
I just remember the cops like try. I just remember the cops like trying not to like completely wig out because there was 2 Adinos in the back of the car. It's like, oh my god.
No doubt.
Did
Yeah.
Sakal drag that cop into the back of the truck?
No.
No, I don't think so, because I think you were both too busy covering, making sure you protected Chris's body.
Mm-hmm.
That was funny, though. So eventually, everything kind of slowed down. Once all of you got through the checkpoint and found another vehicle to take through the storm wall, who disappeared during that transition. Let's talk about the vehicle real quick, though. What did you pick up?
We picked up an Amazon parcel delivery.
Well, first off, we started through the wall in the army truck.
Was it the army truck? I thought you picked up
Yes. No, we started through the wall
that's
in the army truck.
Okay.
Where we proceeded to get the army truck completely destroyed in the
And that's when Detective Pepper disappeared too, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Detective Pepper disappeared in the reality storm. He didn't come out the other side with us.
Gavin was more of a tabletop type. He really likes being around people and stuff, so the internet thing just doesn't do it for him for whatever reason. So,
well, in truth, it is hard to pick up on the social cues and everything. We do end up talking over each other every now and then.
Oh yeah,
even though we're trying not to.
Yeah, we really do. And you guys have really become awesome about it in the adventures, since this time. But it was really hard in the first few adventures to kind of discern what was taking place from time to time, because you guys all love to talk, and I think it's awesome. But let's see. So Gavin did leave the group. You destroyed the army truck, the LMTV. The army truck having been beaten to pieces while going through the storm wall, eventually you were going to have to change vehicles, and where you chose to pick up the new van. What happened there?
Oh, we lucked out. We found a relatively large Amazon parcel delivery van.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, got me and Sakal in the back.
Safely hidden in the back.
Sakal being absolutely fascinated by all these packages and was just opening them up, seeing what was.
And that's also where Ginger found.
What did I find?
You've actually used it in the last several adventures.
So no, that's not where she picked up the PDA.
It's not?
Oh, no, it's not. I got that from the Resistance.
Oh.
While we were in that Amazon truck, I was fervently turning off all their electronics.
Yeah, that's right. When Sakal was opening the packages and a few of them were turned on, they all started saying GodNet downloading.
Yeah,
and that's
we turned things off and jettisoned them.
Right. Okay, so what else happened in that parking area?
Well, a woman came running by screaming.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to rescue her, more or less.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
being chased by some authorities, honestly, in a flying police car.
Yep.
Which Chris managed to crash.
After everybody was taken out, though, a fight ensued from there. And you had somebody Actually, it was Sakal. Sakal and Chris went to the tree line while Ginger was, or Peaches was dealing with the Amazon van, and then who else came out? I know Pepper and Mo went out there, and eventually I think Peaches went out there. No, Mo is the one who rescued the young woman, who would turn out to be a cyber witch, in the parking lot, and he stayed with Peaches and
Yeah,
the
I stayed
cyber
with
witch.
Peaches and the Cyber Witch, and Chris and Sakal tried to run down the cops before they could call
Take
for
the other two.
reinforcements.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They
Or was she supposed to have her sister out there at the time?
she had two sisters. There were a total of 3 cyber witches. 2 were being rushed onto the cyber police van. And then the main goal was for Pepper and Sakal to stop them from calling for reinforcements. And they dropped one. Sakal dropped one guy up front, and the other cop had turned around to run back to the police van. And I can't remember how he got dropped, but anyway, eventually you
Dropped
got.
he was.
But dropped he was, exactly. Anyway, eventually all of you managed to rescue the cyber witches, who promised to do what when you told them about what you were doing.
They promised to get us in touch with the resistance, the local resistance.
There you go. And they eventually did that. But yeah, Chris did take that police van and crash it into the Rhone River.
I had to. We all agreed on that.
Yeah, that's true. So somebody came out. One of the cyber witches had a motorcycle and came out to pick you up after everybody else arrived in the Amazon van at their hometown, which I don't remember what the name was.
I don't remember, but they were based in a church, in the basement of a church.
Actually, the cyber witches had their own home. They had invited you into it and showed you something that was in there, dealing with computers.
I don't remember what they did. Then again, my character didn't really know much about computers, so he would have tuned it out anyway. But I just remember that eventually, after Chris got back and we rested a little bit, they took us to their cells hideout. But I thought that was in the basement of a church.
Yep, you're right. It was in the basement
Okay,
of.
so there was something else that I'm missing that happened at their house.
I believe Peaches was encouraged. I don't remember who encouraged her to go find a van in the next town. Because the cyber police would remember the Amazon van when they came back about.
Yes, that's right. And they gave me a hacked iPad.
That's right. You know what? I think we're confluencing 2 things here. I think you shut off the iPad, but decided to keep it in case you could find some place to get it broken, and then at the church they broke it for you. Or did they have their own supply?
Either way, I can't remember.
Okay, they had their own supply then. So my memory is faulty on that. That's okay. I don't mind.
But we did buy it. We had funds for our mission from the Delphi Council.
Yes, I remember that. Okay. So
and that's been Peach's constant companion ever since.
Ever since. So let's see. You went to the place that you were trying to get to was close to Montelimar, but you had to get around Avignon first.
We had a lot of fun with maps on that one.
And I remember providing a vehicle that was from the 70s.
Yeah, we went up with like a VW microbus.
VW microbus, that's exactly what it was. And you got to have some fun with that and got around Montelimar. Let's see, where am I at here? A new van. What happened? Okay, we went through that. Anything more about the church? Do you remember what was happening in the church? Besides it being a stronghold for La Resistance.
Not particularly. They were afraid that it would get raided.
Yeah, and raided it was. If you remember, you guys had to sneak out the front. Sneak out the front. That's just wrong. But you found a handy bridge while the cyber witches decided to go back home and hide everything that they had shown you in the way of their computer system. That was where they helped you get in touch with actually Agent Memal for the first
That's
time.
right. I thought about posting a personal ad.
Well, actually, that was later. That was once you guys actually got to Cross.
Yeah, that was after we got to Cross.
But you had the Resistance looking out, and you found out that Memal was actually on the run.
Yeah, I think the Resistance pulled us up some information,
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there's a fugitive on the run there, and that's what's going on, and
Mm-hmm.
or they know that there is somebody there, but I don't think they knew who it was. So it was
Right.
So her cover, they knew there was a spy, but her cover hadn't been blown yet.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So we were and we had no idea how to get in touch with her, but we had to evade the police again and wound up like hiding under a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Is
that when Penny went for the van?
That's when Penny went for the van.
Okay, so yeah, I'm misremembering.
Yeah, the rest of us stayed there in the because we had to make that run for it pretty quick. I mean, we really weren't able to stay in the church very long because they were getting raided almost as soon as we got done talking to them. So we ditched it one way, and I think they ditched it the other, or may had a little gunfight with the cyber police, and then we hid under the bridge while Penny went, while Peaches ran to wherever. I don't. She wasn't gone long, so it had to be reasonably close. And stole a minivan. Stole a microbus.
It was a bridge across the Rhone River, and then to the next town, which wasn't very far away. It was like 3 or 4 kilometers, I think it was.
Yeah, towns are pretty close there.
Yeah, towns are really close there. But yeah, she was able to find that VW bus and get it all back to you so that you could get back on the road.
Yeah,
that was some good thinking on Penny's part.
And then we drove the rest of the way down there, and then we realized when we got there that we were in a little bit of a quandary. What there was a nuclear power plant there. Something I don't think the game realized, but when we pulled up Google Maps, there's a big sign that says nuclear power plant.
To be honest with you, Cross wasn't even chosen. I chose Cross. I was like, okay, let's go down here and pick a place, and I just happened to pick the one place in like 300 miles radius that had a nuclear power plant. I was like, that'd actually be perfect for a cyber Pepsi space base.
Yeah, that kind of works for some place that's going to be a power-hungry glut.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially because it was also surrounded, for security's sake, by actual parks and woods. It was isolated.
Yeah.
I mean, just a stone's throw from what was the big city? It wasn't Avignon. Montelimar.
Yeah.
Montelimar was a big city that was just a stone's throw further south.
Further south or further north? Because you guys were coming from the north.
Yeah, we were coming from the north, and it was a stone's throw south of Cross.
Yep. But Cross was a lot different than Montelimar because of many fewer people.
Yep. And I mean, honestly, when you were looking at it and getting to look at it, it was kind of like saying, Marietta and Atlanta are separate places. They were practically one city.
Mm-hmm.
there was barely any separation between Montelimar
Yep.
and Cross, but Cross was more of a smaller resort town kind of
Right.
feel, and the other one was a bigger town, and it was just we pulled in, and at that
Oh.
time I think we were like discussing it, and that they found a bed and breakfast
Mm-hmm.
where Chris and Peaches get a room,
Right down
but
here.
there was too many people around. Yeah, there's too many people around, and me and Sakal were basically stuck in the van.
Yes,
Yep.
but you were stuck in the van in a park, or surrounded by forest.
No, not at that time. We weren't. We were stuck in a van in the parking lot.
We moved it quickly. You spent maybe one night there.
Oh yeah, one
Well,
night's a
yeah.
long time to be sleeping with that other lizard.
Yeah. Okay, so you stayed basically one night here at Tour de Guet. I don't know how to pronounce that in French.
Yeah,
And then
it
there
might have been
was
two, but
well,
because
no. You tried to move up here. This was up is a castle uphill from that
mhm.
little place, and then you figured there were too many people, so eventually you wound up moving here instead with the van because that
Yeah,
was
that I
like an
think
abandoned farmhouse.
Well, there was some castle or tourist attraction that was closed.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
one right here.
that bought us a little extra space. We were able, me and Sakal were able to stay there without having to
Mhm.
sleep in the van, and and that's but during those first couple of days is when we come up with the idea of, hey, let's see if we can kind of get in touch with this agent Memo
Mhm.
for using social dating app. And,
That's right.
And learning to drive.
yeah, and Sakal was learning to drive.
Yeah.
That's totally a good idea.
Yeah, I don't remember how that went. That's probably
Poorly.
like a bad drunk. You
Yep.
just want to forget it the next day. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I don't think we completely destroyed the van though, so it was.
no, no, it was
But
still in good shape. I think you only actually lost the front bumper on it, which let's face it, VW microbuses front bumpers come off on a regular basis if you breathe on them heavy. So
that's true. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, the hardest part was remembering to reminding them not to lose the keys.
yeah, that's
Uh-huh.
You do not
true.
keep the keys.
Or eat the keys.
Yeah, because it was winter and it was cold, and
Hmm.
we did not like being in the microbus at all.
Yeah, I can't say that I blame you there.
Yeah.
Okay. Um,
Our reptilian natures did not make being in the microbus enjoyable in the least.
in the least.
And,
um,
Memo contacted us back,
mhm.
which proceeded to have a bunch of back and forths in which we realized we were lousy at spycraft.
Oh yeah, we are horrible at it.
And,
Yeah,
and, ev- and eventually
you met
Peaches realized that she couldn't translate this woman's clues.
Yeah. Yeah, but everybody kind of worked on that one.
Yeah, well, yeah, none of the rest of us could either. Out of character, I was trying to help, and I got lost a couple of times. But you know, you know, in character, half the party was completely useless for subterfuge,
Yeah, but
and we were useful later on. But,
yeah,
but,
yeah.
but for the subterfuge section,
Not so much.
not so much.
yeah, we suck. Have you
Oh,
met us?
yeah. I've
You
run
know,
the game for you for a year now. I think I know. So, which is why I help
Yeah,
you as much as I can.
yeah. So for several days, we were we were bouncing around trying to figure out how to get this how to get Memo. She couldn't get off the base. Is what we finally figured out.
Hmm.
She couldn't get off the base, because they were either in lockdown or they were suspicious of her. But for whatever the reason, she was stuck and couldn't get off the base. And we're trying to figure out. And she finally suggested, some sort of tourist cabin place, just a couple of kilometers out of town, in one of the parks.
This one marked hotel. I just changed over the screen, so hopefully you can see that.
Was it a hotel? Because I thought it was more of a
breakfast really?
campground with cabins.
It was more of a campground. It was kind of both a bed and breakfast and a campground, so that they could serve both types of tourists. Ginger, what were you saying?
Chris and I kind of posed as tourists, go on youth hostel kind of thing, and we rented a bungalow together.
Yes, and
no, we had 2 bungalows.
Right, there were 2.
We did. That's right, because Chris ran into a blast from the past. The romance card came through.
Yep.
And one of his classmates,
Giselle,
whose parents actually ran the hotel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we wound up with 2 cabins, and I think Chris and Sakal were staying in one cabin.
Yes, I think so.
And me and Peaches were staying in the other cabin.
Yep.
And then, girlfriend comes to visit Chris.
And let's see, Giselle, the young associate of our Mr. Cross, after speaking with him into the early morning hours, decided to lead him to some other folks who claimed to be Storm Knights. What happened then, Chris?
Yeah, Chris.
They weren't. They were pretty much spies to capture Storm Knights who were to be spying on their project.
You have lousy taste in women, Chris.
I was mistaken.
To be fair, I don't think she was part of it.
To be fair, you're correct.
She was no Lena.
Yep. Oh, we lost Robert. Oh, he went off for the night.
He said he had to go. He had to get up in the morning.
Okay, well, that's all right. I was going to give him an extra possibility for listening, like I'm going to do with all 3 of you. So, let's see.
So what happened to you again, Chris? Can you elaborate on what happened to you, Chris?
Yeah.
Well,
from your point of view.
When I entered, it's like I thought I was fairly calm, and I was just I'm like only one here and whatnot, like the kind of responses, but it's like they rolled so high, they're like saying I was saying complete and utter bullshit to them, and knocked me out.
And the girl too.
Yeah.
And her too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they knocked her out first to show you how serious they were.
No, they did not.
Oh no, that's right. It was the other way around.
Yeah.
Because Chris was the more dangerous.
Yeah, they clubbed Chris over the head almost as soon as he walked in the door.
And then I can't remember. I think I can't remember how they wound up putting her down, or if they
just punched her. They just punched her.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. They were just brutalizing her because they were bad cops.
Yeah,
that's what happens when the cyber papacy is involved.
So what happened when Sakal realized that Chris was missing with his little girlfriend? After that?
Chris was gone for a long time because Sakal just assumed he was out having a tryst with his girlfriend. Yeah. Meanwhile, in the other cabin, my ass was curled up around a radiator, and and everybody was asleep. And then eventually, Sakal, got to worrying about Chris, and came over and woke us up, and said, "Chris is missing. He has gone out with this girl," or something like that.
Yeah. Wasn't there also a note involved?
Yeah, Chris left a note.
Mm-hmm.
Chris had left a note, which basically said, "I've gone out with this girl."
But neither of them could read, and they didn't think of waking me up and getting it to me until late.
I thought the note that I had given to y'all explained something about other storm knights being there. Was that
Yeah,
it? Or okay.
that's what I have.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I say, but
Oh, okay.
they didn't deem it important enough and just focused on the girl part.
Yeah.
In our defense, me and Sakal were illiterate. So we had no idea what the note said. Sakal was just like, "Oh, he went off with a girl. This note must say he's gone off with a girl."
And then, like Peaches just said, you guys waited to give her the note.
Because if it was anything else, he would have said, "I've gone off with a girl too." And so eventually, like, when he didn't show back up, like Sakala came over and knocked on our door, woke me up.
Mm-hmm.
Then me and him talked about it for a few minutes. Going, well, if he's off with some girl mating, I mean, that's just and Sakala was like, "I have this note." And then when he didn't come back again after a little while, meanwhile, our GM is going, "I wonder just how much torture I'm going to have to put Chris through before they become concerned."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And finally we reached a point where it's like, "Oh, this is too long. Something must have happened." And we knock on the door, hand it to Peaches, and we're like, "Oh, Storm Knights. Well, I don't know. Maybe that didn't go well because he hasn't come back. You would think he would have come back if he had really met some Storm Knights."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then we have to go out and find him, in which we find out that none of us are particularly good trackers either.
Didn't that take an idea card?
It did.
I'm telling you.
Either an idea or an alertness. Forget which one. But basically, one of us had to have a card in order to spot the trail because nobody can find the trail.
And the note didn't tell us where he'd gone exactly. Just
I don't think he knew. He was just going with her to meet some Storm Knights. But it didn't say where because she hadn't told him where, just that they were, staying here and she was going to take him to meet them. Yeah. So we finally play our alertness or idea card and spot
some lights on.
The lights on. And we go up there and I think we peek in because we did make our stealth rolls.
Yes, you did.
And we peek in and we see Chris tied to a chair, having cigarettes put out on him.
And whiskey poured over that.
being questioned by the cyber by these two people. Who
Since we were idiots on that front because I'm still knocked out.
If you hadn't been knocked out, you probably could have done something with your psionics.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, because he was still unconscious. So he was just tied up on the floor. I think. I don't even think he was in a chair. Yeah, I just
didn't even get a chair.
I just remember it infuriated me that somebody was mistreating my Chris. I cast like the miracle to increase everybody's brawn or strength by 1.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then I used that and I hit the door like a battering ram, and this time it worked.
Yay!
Unlike the first time I hit a door like a battering ram. I have had mixed results with that.
Yeah, you have. Should we talk about Day One Living Land at the Lower Manhattan Hospital? I just don't know.
Well, that's one they can listen to, isn't it?
Yeah.
But in any event, it was where the guy with the scaly clawed feet discovered linoleum for the first time.
Yes. And how slippery it could be.
Like a bowling pin.
And how slippery that could be, and just how poorly constructed receptionist desks are.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh,
Uh,
but I believe that's the point where I come busting through the door and I
Mhm.
charge in.
Ah,
And
but let me interrupt. They did get off a couple of shots trying
They
to
did?
shoot at you. Yeah,
Yeah, they
but
did.
they
I don't think
missed.
they got me. Yeah, I don't think they hit me. I mean, they had a chance to respond as I like ripped the door right off the hinges and just threw it aside.
Well, yeah, exactly. The blind fire rules and everything like that. And I think I rolled like a 5 for one of them and a 2 for the other. So the guy got off a shot, but the woman was just like, okay, I'll just hold my water on this one.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Which one did Mo end up like going?
let's not spoil the surprise.
Yeah, he got one of them
Yeah,
by
yeah,
surprise.
yeah.
Hmm.
So me and Sakal and Peaches
Hmm.
come rushing into the room, and we fairly quickly overwhelm these two,
Yeah.
and wind up with both of them as prisoners.
Yeah, actually, I think you killed the one guy. I think you killed the
Eventually, but
supposed
not
husband. Oh,
eventually, but not at the time.
you're right.
We wound up with both of them as prisoners
Hmm.
at the time, and at which point I was really angry, and Peaches said something, or I said something like, "Can I eat this one?" And I was like pointing to the guy that had been kicking Chris, I think, while he was laying there on the ground.
And I
And
was trying to get information out of them, and I'm thinking, oh, we're playing good cop, bad cop. He's really scary.
yeah, and, and,
He
and
just
she
said,
asked a
sure, go
question.
right ahead, or something flippant like that.
Yeah, she asks a question. They refuse to answer, and she goes, "Yes, you can." And
And you did.
and I reached down and I bit the guy's head and plucked it right off his shoulders, and,
And ended
and
up in a feeding frenzy of all
which
things.
ended up in a feeding frenzy
Hmm.
where I completely devoured the guy's corpse.
I don't think
While
you
his
went that far.
wife,
I think you got his heart and
yeah, I
his
think so.
head.
Oh,
Ate
no.
I definitely ate his head and as much of the rest of him as I could at the time. I don't think we said just exactly how much that was.
Yeah, that would have
All I
been just a
remember
little
was,
bit gruesome. So,
yeah, all I remember is that he had cyberware and I was coughing up wiring.
like a
and
cat
I
with a hairball.
remember
And all I could think of at that point was if I roll a 1 and disconnect, I'm going to wind up a cyber papal Adinos with cyberware. As all of this like pushes its way back out and take
I
it
do
wraps
recall.
itself to me.
I do recall you did take one of the wires and kind of clean some of the detritus out of your teeth.
Yeah, I was trying to get some of that stuff out of my teeth, and
Yeah, and it was
and also meanwhile, the entire time I was thinking, Paul's going to sit there and tell us in just a minute that they were just being overly cautious, resistant cyber knights.
Really?
Yeah,
I was so appalled. I had nothing. I really got. I let him go on. My character was really standing behind the woman with her jaw on the floor.
Hmm.
oh, I think she fainted at that point.
The woman did, and I remember rousing her in a very cruel way, saying that she'd be next if she didn't cooperate.
Uh-huh.
I don't think you did very well at that because, like, your stomach was rolling.
Yeah, I was green myself.
Yeah,
You were
I
green.
think you failed the intimidation on that one, if I
Oh.
recall correctly.
I think I had a real good bonus standing over my shoulder.
Hmm. You did.
Yeah,
You did.
you did. Yeah, yeah. But I remember, at that point we found out that they were actually like undercover cyber cops.
Hmm.
And I'm sorry, I meant Storm Knights, not Cyber Knights. But yeah, I was just waiting on Paul to like get to the end and like go, oh dear, those guys were actually going to be allies, and they were just like over just, and this was supposed to be this was supposed to be sort of a red herring, like the heroes meet in in an almost confrontation, and you ate one. Uh,
Well, wouldn't that be a plot twist?
that would be a plot twist. That would probably not go a long way towards any future cooperation with these people.
Just, Andrew, just allow me to assure you they were bad guys.
Uh, well, I certainly know that now. She spilled the beans,
Uh-huh.
and I think did did Peaches just shoot her?
No, 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 no. Remember the bush on top of the berm behind the hotel?
Oh, that's right.
Mhm.
We
Now,
carried her with us,
now,
because
hold
we
on.
got raided.
Yeah, the police were called, and even a cyber policeman showed up at the motel to ask questions, but much of the rest of the evening went without trouble.
Hmm.
But you also had a couple of cyber priests from, local cyber priests show up to kind of investigate things because probably by that time they had heard about what had taken place
Hmm.
north of Avignon. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think somebody called in a noise complaint or something.
Mhm. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Somebody did call in a noise complaint, and it was enough to get some police out there with the weapons fire and screaming and all of the
Yeah,
blood curdling roars of the guy getting torn apart and all that stuff. So,
yeah, yeah. It was the other. The got a poor Yelp review from the other guests.
there you
Nice
go.
place, nice place, clean, a little too murdery.
Yeah, just a bit too murdery. Okay,
Yeah.
so what happened with the bush?
Right,
Before
so
the three cars, the three cyber hover vans from the local base showed up.
Well, you
it's
guys
some.
hid out in the forest, and I remember Chris and his lady friend hung out to pretend that they had been guests all along, and they didn't hear any ruckus. What ruckus?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
All blushing smiles at each other.
yeah.
Um,
And he did pretty good in his deception role at that time, so
no,
Mm-hmm.
he
they
did
bought
really
it.
good, and I pretty much went out and hid in the scrub with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we had we found a great big shrubbery,
Uh-huh.
and
Which
we
you
were right.
did what with?
Oh yeah, we found a great big shrubbery. We got in there, and then I used my shaped plant miracle
Mm-hmm.
to make it to make it into a well camouflaged hideout,
Mm-hmm.
with a big opening on the inside of it to give us room to give us a sheltered place for the night. Almost like a shrubbery igloo.
There you go.
Uh, Meanwhile, I curled up near the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
Sakal curled up on the other side, and you were watching the cyber cop, who was basically told any attempt to leave will wake one of them up. You probably don't want to do that.
They get very cranky when
Yeah.
They
yep.
get very cranky. Meanwhile, I'm still spitting up wires.
That ain't right.
Is that a cyber? Was that a glass eyeball? God, these guys are nasty.
You know what? I didn't even make up stats or cyberware or anything on them. I just thought that the role play was enough of it to do the trick. So whatever you coughed up is whatever you coughed up.
Oh, and we did blindfold her, so she had no way of, even if she could communicate
Yeah.
maybe wirelessly or whatever, she couldn't describe where she was
Yeah.
or how
Yep.
she got there.
But we were right on the edge of the base at that time. By
Mhm.
that point,
Yep.
Yeah, but she'd been blindfolded the whole way, so she couldn't give, a description of where she was or how long it took to get there.
Yeah.
And didn't we eventually just abandon her in the woods? She'll either
Yeah,
be found or she won't.
In that
Yeah.
in that big old shrubbery. Yeah.
In that big old shrubbery, I
Mhm.
mean, eventually she'll stumble out, or she'll get found, one or the other,
Well,
or she'll starve to death. I mean, it's survival of the fittest. Make it if you can, baby.
but that was but that was something of a problem right there because Peaches, none of you guys actually knowing anything about cyberware or how it works. The next morning, the base sent up like really early in the morning. It was still kind of dark. They sent up 3 of their police hover vans to search
Hmm.
for her because she was probably wearing some kind of a tracker.
Yeah,
Uh, but it had a bloom to it, so she could have been anywhere within that bloom, and that's like 2 kilometers radius. So they started their search on top of the berm and worked their way down because that's where the disturbance from the previous night was. And one of the male cyber cop who got eaten, his that's so bad. Um, Wound up getting his tracker cut off in mid-tooth. So
Well, his dismembered body was found in the bathtub.
yep, I
Yeah.
remember that too.
Pulling out this thing. Oh God, that was. What do y'all put in y'all's bodies? God.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, so the next morning after Giselle left Chris in the room, I actually wrote down the name. What and was awakened by the 3 hover vans. What did Chris do?
I actually can't remember.
Didn't you steal a hover van?
Mm-hmm. A remote controlled a hover van.
Oh, when
You,
we meet up with the resistance.
yeah, the La Resistance came to help you. You got the transmitter out of one of the hover vans and used another one. And what did you do with that hover van?
Oh,
Well,
blew
we
it up
flew
to
it into a
create
building.
blew it up to create a distraction at one side of the gate.
That's right. You've got the
Correct.
support buildings right here. Can you guys see my little red circle, or am I still kind of off the map?
I can see ya.
Okay.
Yeah. Chris used it to. They were remote controlling in the hover. That.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm wrong. Main hangar right here. Maintenance hangar right here.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the maintenance hangar guy was trying to bring in the remote, the hover. And then, Chris waited till it was almost there, and then he tried to override the remote and
That was
screw
brilliant.
with it. Basically, just crashed it.
Mm-hmm. That was absolutely brilliant, and that gave you an opportunity to do what?
On
Go
the
up
other
to the
side,
fence.
you know where the fire department truck is. We stole a fire department truck.
Mm-hmm. So yeah,
And
you
we
got.
went under the fence.
Under the pretense of responding to the maintenance emergency in the hangar, went zooming around looking for Agent Memo.
Yeah, you got the fire truck out of there. You were supposed to be running it over to the main hangar, but you saw them. Let me clarify them. The resistance was already in the back of the truck. You pulled the truck out of the fire station, and out of the main building about here. You saw who dragging who?
We saw some big.
Oh yeah, they found her.
Yep.
They had found her. They figured her out, and some giant the cybered out, roid raged guy with a sword and all this other stuff.
Pretty thin.
Yeah, he was a pretty buff inquisitor or something like that.
Yeah, some sort of inquisitor.
Yep. That guy right there
was bringing out was bringing Memo out and was going to take her. I'm not seeing.
Well, no, I haven't put it up where you guys are, but yeah, you're right. He was really cybered out. He had a pair of big pistols and an inquisitor's sword. And Mo took him on. Was it Mo or Sakal?
Sakal.
Yeah, that's right. Sakal took him on while Mo went to talk to the booster dogs.
Yeah.
Guard dogs, the base guard dogs.
That's right.
Yeah.
And they tried to turn them supremely well.
Yeah, they tried to turn loose their cyber guard dogs on us. And Mo has a miracle commune with animals.
Yep.
Which is a fabulous ability, especially if you roll like a outstanding success. I don't even think I got an outstanding success because I couldn't have them do something that would cause them to be hurt.
Yeah.
They wouldn't obey an order that was basically going to get them hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But however, the order I cast the miracle, and their handlers are like, "Let's get them!" And they're like, trying to bring their rifles up and turning their dogs loose. And I told their dogs, my friends, go play with your handlers. And the big old cyber dogs turned back around and started jumping up and down on the handlers and getting into their legs, and
Mm-hmm.
just being like, also, that's it, everyone have fun. Meanwhile, Sakal's using his spear to just tromp this cyber knight or
Yeah.
cyber inquisitor. And
Yeah, but remember when you were running away, one of you looked back. It might even have been Chris, but one of you all looked back because by that time Ginger and the lead resistance fighter had gone to fight at the front gate.
mm-hmm.
But you guys looked back once that fight was done. Yeah, and realized that the Inquisitor was getting back up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have a sword anymore though, because Chris had that.
Yeah. So
Of course,
Peaches.
Chris used telekinesis.
Yep.
The guy went to pull his sword, and Chris out strengthened him in his telekinesis.
Oh,
and snatched
yeah.
the sword away from him.
Yeah, I did it like two or three times too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Chris was just disarming people left and right. Well, I think he was disarming the Inquisitor left and right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Every time that Inquisitor did something, Chris was like, nah.
Nope,
That's
not
true.
today.
Which is why Sakala was basically beating the snot out of him.
Because he always was vulnerable, or
He was always vulnerable or stymied, and unarmed.
Mm-hmm.
And but I do remember, was it Peaches?
Peaches and go ahead.
Yeah.
Crashed.
Go ahead, Peaches.
No, I ran to the gate with the fire truck.
Mm-hmm.
They were closing it up.
What about the guards and stuff?
Well, that didn't fare so badly versus a fire truck, but the fire truck didn't fared equally badly against the gate.
That's true. That's true. The resistance fighters were firing over the top of the cab and took out the guards, and then did not take out the last guard who was getting a drop on you, but had shot the resistance leader for that cell. And you decided to ram the truck into the guard shack, with the guard between the grill of the truck and the shack itself. So
Yeah, because he was also going to close it. He
Yeah.
was closing the gate.
yeah, he was trying to close the gate, but you got it back open. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
But didn't we wind up in a crash where everybody died?
only one resistance person died. Everybody else was kind of feeling it, but survived.
yeah, exactly. And the resistance guys, once Sakal, Chris, and Mo carried Memo up to the front gate, the resistance fighters considered their I believe they considered their mission complete. No, wait a minute. They stayed with the truck for a while, didn't they?
Right. We all got aboard the truck. Memo, no, we couldn't bring the dogs along. Mo and Sakal and Chris, who had picked up the sword from the Inquisitor.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we all got out of there as fast as we could in the truck because the truck was still running.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't really all that buggered up. So it wasn't too bad. But a couple of questions. How long did the trip take once you decided to run for Italy, and what happened on that journey?
Oh, gosh. It didn't take long because we had mapped it out in advance.
It was 4 hours of trying to get into Italy, into Milan.
That's right. But we were in a chase situation. We had to roll.
Yep.
Dramatic, A, B, C, D, the skill resolution.
Yeah, dramatic skill resolution.
Mm-hmm.
So, the guys only went with you so far. The resistance fighters only went with you so far. I remember that.
They built it there. We dropped them off where they got. We dumped the truck and everybody grabbed their own vehicle. we went one way, the other.
Yeah. Basically, you're cutting out pretty good, Andrew. Sorry about that.
No problem. I've had a problem with the last few minutes with not being able to hear y'all too. But
No.
yeah. So but I don't think I was at this the run for it because I don't remember getting the into Italy and making that escape. It seems like I joined the next game where everything was already in motion.
You know what? You're absolutely right. You were not there on that final evening. That would have been June 27th. That you would have missed that one. So
Yeah.
And it was a lot of drive skills involved.
yes, a lot of drive skills involved, and the cyber papacy cops the hover vans were trying to chase you and everything like that. And then what happened at the border between France and Italy? Anybody
Oh
remember?
gosh. We made it through, but only just.
The
There
guys in
were
Italy knew what was going on from the Delphi Council. Remember we discussed that?
yeah, and they helped us across.
Yeah, they
They
did.
stood off the chasing cyber papacy.
Yeah. They stopped the cyber papacy vehicles trying to come
From crossing
across
the border.
and basically protected you guys across the border. But it was a heck of a run. So that was pretty cool. All right, is there anything else you guys can think of that happened in the adventure that you really enjoyed or that you think could have gone better? Was it a fun adventure? You know, that sort of thing.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. I especially well, I especially loved it because my miracles worked the way I wanted them to.
Yeah.
I had fun, but oh man, I felt woefully unprepared for a sneak and spy adventure.
Yeah.
Well, it just turned out that for a spy type adventure, all the skills that we needed to resolve the issue were exactly the skills that none of us had.
Well, it was the only way that I could think of running it to kind of let you guys know that there have any of you ever heard of the role playing game Millennium's End?
I've heard of it.
No.
I've never played it.
It's a game of basically spy versus spy. You are part of an organization where you go out and complete missions for people who contract you to do so. And I've always loved games like that. I'm trying to kind of blend some of that into Torg. And there's more of it coming in the future. Don't you worry about that. But you guys do. I know that you've already done a lot better in one of the adventures that I ran, but I'm hoping that you'll want to do some more investigation stuff down the road.
No, I love doing investigatory games.
Yeah, we'll work it out. I mean, as our skills get better, we'll also get better at it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We none of us designed our characters to be intelligence type officers.
Exactly.
We needed the detective. We needed Detective Pepper, and he wasn't there for us.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, miserable ass.
Yeah, rah, rah.
Get our hopes up and then just dash them ruthlessly to the ground.
Yeah.
It's
Break
like
our tender hearts.
it was like for Blair's game that he was running for us. Just because we had lacked so much in that investigatory type character,
Mm-hmm.
I had almost said, well, here I'll pull this guy in to be like a spy or investigator type that can that has all these skills. I mean, I could still possibly roll really crappy and get lost in it, but
Yeah.
it would have been a slight a slight change. But he wouldn't have been much of a combat character, just barely
true.
adequate. But
Well, with as slow as Mo is in the first place.
yeah. Mo is slow as molasses.
Mm-hmm.
To have a spirit and a strength as high as I took them, my
Your
mind
decks had to
and my
suffer.
decks had to suffer.
Yeah.
It's okay. Come on now.
When
Yeah.
I land a hit, it's a palatable hit.
Yeah. Well,
Or when you go bowling like you do and roll through a linoleum floor into a counter,
It's
causing I don't know how much damage and at what Mach speed you managed to achieve.
well, we had that wasn't an up, but we had the one where basically everybody's movement was doubled.
oh, flurry.
Mhm.
And no, it wasn't flurry. It was one that specifically said everybody's movement was doubled.
Oh, it was. So that was a card then.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a card. It was part of the card, and I
Can't
think it was
remember.
one of those like it wasn't on the villains heroes line. It was like in the text box
Mm-hmm.
up above, where it says like annoying things like you just experienced a reality surge.
Yeah.
You know? In this one, it was like everybody's movement was doubled.
Uh-huh. Oh,
You know,
yeah.
so I was moving at a good head of speed. First, I had never moved that fast before,
Right. Right.
and then I
You
rolled,
built up some momentum, man.
a one.
So you went like skidding along the floor like a bowling ball, and the desk was totally destroyed. That
Totally
went up
destroyed.
in the air like bowling pins.
Mm-hmm.
Darn near took the character that was trying to be introduced in the scene with me through that.
Yeah.
We had to do a little bit of careful like gauging to make sure he wasn't standing directly in my path.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be bad to take out the guy we were trying to rescue.
Mm-hmm.
That
could have been bad.
That was Detective Pepper's introduction. Just
Mm-hmm.
after he walked out of the examination room and his gun turned into a boomerang.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. He did. He didn't like not getting that back for a little while, but he got it back on the Ronald Reagan,
Yeah.
but never got a chance to use it in our adventure because there were no
Oh,
monsters. It was just
yeah.
all cyberware and stuff. So,
Yeah.
all
Oh,
right, Chris, you got
I-
anything, or Connor, you got anything that you want to share?
No, not really.
Okay. Well, listen, folks, I really appreciate you finally getting this done with me. I know we've been planning it since last September,
Mm,
but we just couldn't get our schedules aligned for it. Now it's finished, and we don't have to worry about it anymore.
yeah. Ho-
S-
holidays messed up everybody.
oh, yeah, they always do. But in this particular instance, I've been hoping to kind of get this done since we finished in, what was it, in early March with
Yeah.
with our first adventure, Day One Living Land. Now
Mhm.
we can just move forward from here out. So listen, if you still want to try and get into Foundry tonight, let me go ahead and close out this video, and then I'll pop back on to Discord, and I'll try and help walk you through it if I can.
All right. I'll hang out for a minute because I've got a few minutes yet, and by God, I want to figure this out.
Yeah, I'd like to see you figure it out. Okay, give me a couple of minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and mute this. Okay. From this point on, we have recorded everything we have played. Thus, the goal reached, we come to the end of these recap videos. Only 3 short adventures have separated us from the original audio files which you may have watched for the Day One Living Land adventure, and those actually recorded through the use of OBS Studio, and altered due to the learning curve through further video editing software I have had. From here, I shall work hard to watch, refine, and upload the 47 episodes presently available. Much more is to come, my friends, in the Battles of the Possibility War. Tune in to the next year of play for us and the next daring adventure of our intrepid explorers as they work hard to find out more for the Delphi Council to defeat these high lords on this earth.